Right on, right on, right on.
Easy Steps in the Bible Story by Adelaide B. Evans. Book 1, 6 of 8. The Story of Abraham. Subpart 1 of 3 parts. After the Lord confused the language of the people of the Tower of Babel, little companies who could understand each other's speech went away to live by themselves. In this time, these companies increased till they formed large nations, strong and powerful. Many of them worshipped idols, but there were always a few among them who served the Lord. Abram, who lived in the land of Chaldees, was a good man, and the Lord chose him to be the father of the nation that should obey his commands, keep his Sabbath, and honor him in all their ways. If they did this, they would teach all the nations about the true God. One time, when Abram was thinking about God, the Lord spoke to him. "Get thee out of thy country," he said, "and from the kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee." The Lord also made a number of promises to Abram. "I will bless thee," he said, "and thou shalt be a blessing." He also promised to make of Abram's family a great nation. One more promise, the most precious of all, was given to Abram at this time. The Lord said to him, "In thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." Abram understood by this that it was in some family of his descendants that the promised Savior, the little child Jesus, would be born. Though he was an old man, Abram did not stop to ask why he should leave his home and friends, nor why the Lord could not give him these blessings where he was. He took his wife and his nephew, Lot, with their servants and camels, flocks, and herds, and set out on his journey. He did not know how long it would take, nor even where he was going. We are told that he went out, not knowing whither he went. It was a large company, and because of the little children and the flocks and the aged members of the household, they could only go a little way each day. At evening they pitched their tents near a spring or beside a clear brook or on some green river bank and camped for the night. In the morning they went on again. Sometimes they stayed in one place for a while till the Lord told them to go forward. All the way God led them. At last the company entered the land of Canaan and pitched their tents in the plain of Moreh. Here the Lord appeared to Abram again and said, "Unto thy seed will I give this land." Perhaps Abram wondered how the land could ever belong to his heirs when he had no child, and when the people who lived in it were so strong and warlike. Still, he believed God's promise. After this, Abram and his family journeyed farther southward, and finally, because of a famine in Canaan, they went down to Egypt and lived there a number of years. Wherever they stopped to pitch their tents, Abram built an altar and worshipped his heavenly leader. When the company passed on, the altars were left, and if those who saw them asked what they meant, they would hear about the true God whom Abram served. The Lord blessed Abram and Lot while they were in Egypt, and when they came back to Canaan, Abram was rich in cattle and in silver and in gold. There were so many sheep and cattle that there was not pasture enough for them all in one place, and the men who kept Lot's cattle quarreled with Abram's herdsmen. Then Abram called Lot to him and pleaded with him that there might be no strife between them. Though he was the elder and had the right to choose, Abram had an unselfish heart. Instead of telling Lot to take his cattle to such and such a place, he said, "Is not the whole land before thee?" and generously offered Lot his choice of it all. Lot was not slow to choose. The fair plain of the Jordan, with its sparkling waters and rich pastures, pleased him. It was the very best to be had, and he selfishly chose that. There were cities in this plain. Of one of these, Sodom, we are told that its people were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. But Lot took his wife and children and servants, his sheep and camels and cattle, and pitched his tents outside this city. Lot had not been in Sodom very long before 5 kings made war on the cities of the plain, and took away from Sodom many idols, much food, and a long train of captives, Lot and his family among the numbers. When Abram heard of it, he took his trained servants, and with 3 friendly chiefs and their servants went after the victorious army. It was night when Abram overtook them, and the army, being taken by surprise, fled. Abram not only rescued Lot, but he also brought back many of the things that the army had taken from the people of Sodom. As Abram returned, the king of Sodom came out to meet him and offered to divide with him the spoils of the battle. But Abram would not take so much as a shoe latchet from the spoils. Melchizedek, also the priest of the Most High God, met Abram in the way and blessed him. And Abram gave him tithes of all. Thus we see that those early days the Lord's people paid tithes. 3 times God had promised to make of Abram a great nation, and to give the land of Canaan to him and to his heirs. But as yet Abram had no child. Now the Lord spoke to Abram again in the vision, and said, "Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward." Abram thought of his childless home, and of the fierce warlike tribes living in the land promised to his heirs. His faith grew weak, and he told the Lord that he had no child, and asked him concerning his promise. Then the Lord told Abram that he should surely have a son. It was night when the Lord talked with Abram this time, and the stars were shining like glittering jewels in the dark blue sky. Often had Abram looked up at the stars and perhaps tried to count them. Now the Lord brought him forth broad and said, "Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them." But Abram could not count the stars. Then the Lord said to him, "So shall thy seed be." Abram believed God's promise, and so his heart was cheered. But Sarai, Abram's wife, could not believe that in her old age the Lord would give her a son. So she asked Abram to follow a custom of those days, and take her maid for his wife. Abram listened to Sarai, and a son Ishmael was born to him. But though Abram loved Ishmael, and a special blessing was pronounced upon him, he was not the promised heir. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord talked with him once more, and changed his name to Abraham, meaning the father of a great multitude. Sarai's name was also changed to Sarah, or the princess of the multitude. And yeah, thanks for watching.